I've been working all weekend in hospice and thinking a lot about the ways in which people easily surrender and the ways in which people have a challenging time surrendering. And I think this affects us all, not just at the moment of our death, but throughout our life. You know, the ways in which we are able to either rage into that dark night, or not give into the light. I think that's a poem by Dylan Thomas, and I always marveled at his words because he died when he was 39. So he didn't get to live this long life and really experience what it really means to have to live in surrender. And I think the older we get, the more we need to learn how to offer ourselves up in surrender. And in the Yoga Sutra, there's the niyamas, which I've talked about this before, and the last three of the 5 niyamas are really kind of classified as the yoga of Kriya, the Kriya yogas. And Kriya yoga just means the yoga of action. And the niyamas are kind of like personal disciplines that we cultivate to help us along the way. And the Kriya yoga piece of the niyamas is interesting to me because it's all, oh, I'm getting messages that there's difficulty getting in. Hold on one second. Did anyone else have a difficult time getting in to class?
No.
All right, I'm not going to worry about this then. Anyway, the 3 pieces of it that I want to talk about are, I find it very interesting that the last 3 are a combination of strong effort and deep surrender. So the first of the last 3 of the niyamas is tapas, or discipline, and then the next is self-study, and then the last is Ishvara Pranidana, which is basically offering yourself up to some higher power. And it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, something that's bigger than yourself. And I think it's interesting that the yoga of action includes both the surrendering and letting your actions be for a higher purpose and giving yourself over to that, as well as discipline and, kind of effortness. That's not a word, effortness, but you know what I mean? The sense of balancing the grace that's found when we commit ourselves fully to something and practice and get better at it, the way you diligently work on a task, and at the same time letting it go. And I'm seeing this so much in my work these days, and it's so curious to me how one can live on that tightrope of those 2 forces of effort and surrender, and really let them live together. I think it's a worthy goal to try to work with this in our yoga practice, in our asana practice, so that we can cultivate the grace that's found in this. Because really, grace will rain down upon us when we have when we move through our experiences effortlessly. And that has to come from self-study, from discipline, and from having a purpose greater than our own to lend a hand to the work that we're doing. So think about that in your practice. Let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall. And I know I talk about it a lot, this balance of effort and surrender. I think there's many ways you can look at it. And so in your physical practice today, think about how when you are diligently working with something and also surrendering, does it feel graceful to you? Is that kind of almost an essence of grace where you have those 2 forces? So let's try it now just with the breath. Can you come into a comfortable seat? Close your eyes and take a moment to allow yourself to be here, to be grounded in this moment, to feel the roots below you. Maybe your sense of connection to something higher than yourself just is that connection that you have to the earth, to a sense of ground. So start to breathe deeply. Notice the way your breath is moving through you. Notice if it's easier for you to inhale or for you to exhale. Do you have a greater connection with one side of the coin, one side of the breath or the other? Do you shortchange your breath at all? Are you hurried or impatient for it? Is there something that you deny inside your own breath? And can you let the breath be like that grace that can flow down upon you? Can the breath be that connection to something greater than yourself? You can think of it as divine energy or something completely not spiritual, but rather just in the earthly plane. However it lands for you, where you feel that your actions are for a greater purpose. Maybe it's just taking care of your family or opening the door for a stranger, smiling at someone down the street. When you think of giving yourself over in that way, when you offer yourself in service in that way, does something shift within you? Feel your body, feel your heart, feel your mind. And can you allow surrender to not feel like a giving up or a slump, but rather a slipping into the flow, slipping into the stream? If you watch someone move with what we would define as grace, there's a fluidity, there's a going with the energy instead of fighting against it. So how can you cultivate that using your breath, even just sitting here? And can your tapas, your discipline, be graceful? Can it not be rage against the dark night? Can it be something that's stout and consistent, but also something that is able to flow? And the way the self-study links into this is your capacity to observe yourself without judgment or expectation. Becoming more aware of how these things land in your body, how they land in your thoughts, in your actions, your words. Just take a few deep breaths, seeing if the exhales can slip you into the stream. Maybe it's the inhales that slip you into the stream. Place your palms together at your heart and bow in. When you set an intention for yourself, for your practice, can you have an offering that whatever you're working with for yourself is not just for yourself, but for others? When we cultivate something good within us, we can share it. All right, and then relax your hands. And let's go ahead and come out of there and onto your back. So as you lie down, take time to notice what your body feels like, to have that sense of difference in your breath and in your physical sensation when you are horizontal on the floor. What has shifted? Is your ability to surrender, to let go a little greater? Allow the surrendered feeling to feel like slipping into the stream, that you're carried. You're carried by something deeper than yourself instead of holding on and resisting at the edges. So some might think that resisting at the edges is the discipline, but really allowing yourself to go into the flow is the discipline. Let's start to move. Stretch your body, lengthen yourself, feel your spine, change shape. What does that do to your breath and your energy? Do you want to squeeze your muscles? Do you want to move here or follow your natural instincts? Trust your body to show you the way. All right, great. And then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, going back and forth, left and right. And feel free to circling your knees, kind of warming up the hips, the back, the sacrum.
Go the other direction. And just notice already. Try to pay attention to the little views that you're getting inside your body as you move. Is there things you need to pay attention to, care for? Let's pull the knees apart from each other and back in. Are you breathing? It is our river. The breath is our river that we get to swim in. It is the energy field that we most can connect with. So try to stay in the breath as best as you can. Surrender lives there. Bring your right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. Give yourself some space. Maybe you need to move your hip around or change the position. And then start to find the room in your feet. Spread out the bones. Spread out your feet, wiggle, sway, do some circles, wake things up. All right, and then left knee into the chest and stretch your right leg long on the floor. I feel what's different on this side. How does compression feel? How does space in the right leg feel? How does movement in your ankles feel? Give yourself a breath. All right, and then bring both knees into the chest. Rock around again. Let's find our way into some starfish cat-cow. So open your body up. Arms and legs spread wide. Spread your eagle wings. Open your breath. Exhale, knees into your chest. Chin up. And just repeat a couple times. How does this feel in your body? Where do you want your limbs to land? One more time. And as we come into a spread out stance, squeeze whatever you can find. Find that little bit of pendiculation of squeezing. You can even squeeze and release and squeeze and release. And then bring the knees into the chest. Pick up your head and do the same thing. Squeeze, squeeze your face, squeeze your feet, squeeze everything in between. And then go ahead and relax your head down onto the ground. Find your breath. Roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so find your way into some cat-cows, opening the chest, opening the back of the chest, feeling the movement through your whole spine. Can you feel it in your lumbar spine, your neck, your crown, your tail? Just feel the fullness of moving. Find the flow of your breath again. Slip into the stream as best as you can. And then find all fours and pause there for a moment. And allow yielding to happen. Give your limbs over to the earth. Feel your hands sink. Feel your knees, maybe your feet sink. And return back. Find the relationship that you have instead of just propping yourself up off the earth or collapsing into the earth. Find the middle way. How's your breath while you're here? Can you stay in the flow of the breath? And then start to move the spine around any way that you want to move. Try not to deny your breathing, no matter what position you're taking in your body. All right, and then inhale. Reach the right arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Find the stillness, but find the movement within the pose. Where is your breath moving? Where do you feel it touching? And then inhale and reach that arm all the way up to the sky again. Place the hand down onto the ground. Go ahead and find your way to the second side. And find your way into this pose. Open up the back of your body. Feel your breath. Feel the spaciousness between your shoulder blades. Sorry. I've been talking all morning. All right, so find your breath. All right, come on out of it, and let's go ahead and come back down into child's pose. Settle your hips back toward the heels. And walk the hands over to the left side of the mat as the right side opens up. Relax the base of your skull. Stay grounded and rooted through the pelvis. Relax your head. And then inhale and come back to center. Walk over the other way. Stay grounded through the hips again. Relax the head. Find the breath. Find the space for the breath. And then come back towards center. Find your way into dog pose, right? So lengthen through your spine, stretch through your body. Feel free to have some movement here. So pedal out your feet to begin, move your knees around, move your hips around. Find anything that feels right in your body to access what it is that you want to open. Befriend yourself. So one of the great things about finding little bits of movement here and there is you get to feel your body. And when you feel your body, you can befriend your body. So let's find all the little nooks and crannies that you can access sensation in. And once you find yourself fully here, become a little bit more still and feel the inner movement. Yield into the earth, feel that rebound. Give yourself over to the flow of your breath, the relationship with the earth. When you have yielding and soft joints and deep breathing, do you feel graceful? Is there an element of sinking into the flow? All right, let's walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Feel free to wiggle around, move around your shoulders, head, hips, anything that feels good. Find your breath. Next time you inhale, come into a halfway lift. You can hold the floor, blocks, or shins or thighs. Exhale and release back down. Let's try that one more time. Inhale, get long and lengthy. Exhale and slowly lower yourself back down. Push off your feet. Let's climb up, arms to the sky. Take a deep breath. Lean back if you feel inclined. Cactus the arms open if you feel inclined. Stretch your arms straight. Just what kind of big open space do you want to cultivate in your chest? And exhale and fold and release again. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step your left foot back. Right foot's coming forward. Continue warming up our body. Coming into a lunge. Go ahead and place your back knee onto the ground and lift your chest. Feel the stretch through the hip flexors. Open up through your heart. And then let's start to move. So squaring the hips, dropping the head down, bending your knee and lifting your heart forward. So find where you want to be in space, how you want to move, what feels best to you. Are you breathing? Let the movement help you stay in the flow. Staying disciplined to the efforts of your practice, stabilizing yourself, staying disciplined to watch and observe the steady breath. Also allowing yourself to have some greater purpose for your actions. Why do you want to keep your body healthy? What's the purpose of that? So that you can be in the world and the best that you can be. Stretch through your spine. Go ahead and lift yourself up, crescent lunge. Reach your arms upward maybe. Maybe your arms want to come outward. Maybe your hands want to stay connected to each other at your heart. Find your breath. Find the extension through your spine. Support with your core. Feel your deep stability. Can you yield your feet into the earth now? What changes when you drop down into the earth? Do you change in your mind? Do you change in your breath? Do you change in your body? Wherever you ended up, let's go ahead and place your hands back down onto the ground. Walk your back foot forward and fold. Relax here. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine gets longer. Exhale and melt back down. One more time, push off your feet. Rise up, reaching the arms to the sky or anywhere you want. And then interlace your hands behind your back. If your shoulders roll way forward, see what you can do to keep them moving back. Open up the chest, find your breath here. Bend forward again and release the arms away from the spine, wherever they go, an inch away or a foot away. Relax the head, be neutral. And then release the arms. Grab onto the elbows. Have just a little bit of a tug on the elbows. So you feel the rib cage shimmy away from the pelvis a little bit. Relax your head. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and flow back down. Step your left foot forward, right foot back. Come into a lunge and place your knee down onto the ground. Open the heart. Feel any little nooks and crannies you can find here to open, whether it's in your hip flexors. Maybe you like the compression, the deep compression in your hips. So just scan your body and notice what you're feeling and bring yourself into the breath.
Adjust anything you need adjusting. And then we'll start to move when you're ready. Pick up your back knee and start to move the front leg. So bending and straightening. Feeling the hamstrings open, feeling the hip flexors open. Remember, you can move your head around to help support the transition of that stretch through the back body, letting it go deep. Are you breathing? All right, and then let's come to a lunge on this side. Go ahead and place your body upright, and you can adjust your feet. Your back knee can come down onto the floor. The lunge can be less deep. It doesn't have to be so deep. Arms can be anywhere that you want to be. So the shapes are not as important as the structural integrity that you're cultivating, the breath, that sense of flow. So if you are resisting by going too deep in a pose and you're just kind of raging against the body, back away until there's a sense of softness balanced with your effort. Yielding lives here. Feel the roots of your feet, feel the breath. How can you allow the energy from your spine, from your tailbone, lift up through your spine regardless of what your arms are doing? Is there a place in your body that you can relax, that doesn't have to be tense? Are there efforts in your body that need to be there, and can you find them with grace? Can you feel the hugging of muscles to bone that isn't something incongruent with your breath? And release the hands. Let's go ahead and come back down onto all fours. Find your way. Have a moment to yield here again. Give yourself over, receive back. And maybe lean into one arm and feel that rebound, and lean into the other arm. If you need practice with yielding, take some practice time to really understand what that give and take feels like through your bones, the transmission of energy through your bones. How's your breath? Come into a cat-cow, arching the spine, rounding the spine. All right, and then let's go ahead and stretch your left leg straight back behind you. Engage your hamstrings and your glutes. When you're ready, take the other arm out in front of you. Feel your sense of stability from your hand to your foot, all through your torso along the way, and allow yourself to stay breathing through this. Stay yielding through this. Let's start to move. So as you exhale, tuck elbow and knee underneath you. Inhale and bring it on out. And then reach that arm and leg. Place your hand and knee down onto the ground. And let's come to the second side. Have a moment of yielding. Feel where the hand needs to move into the earth a little bit more. Stretch the right leg straight back behind you, the left arm out in front of you. Stabilize through the center of the body. Try not to be in lockdown mode. What kind of movement can you have through your muscles? Is there energy flowing? Is there breath moving? Is there yielding happening? What part of you doesn't have to work so hard? Take a deep breath in. Exhale and draw your knee and elbow toward each other. Inhale, reaching it out. Exhaling and bringing it in. One more time. Extend, feel your spine. Exhale, bring it in on yourself. Stretching that arm and leg out. Place your hand down onto the ground, knee down onto the ground. Cat-cow or a little swirling about. Find what you're finding. Find your breath. Curl the toes under, settle back toward the heels, and eventually find your way back to dog pose. Extending through the spine, feel the roots of your hands. Is there a place for you to yield and surrender? Take deep, full breaths in and out. Practice the art of surrender and flow inside your breath and body. You don't necessarily have to, you can very much have a purpose to your practice that's higher than yourself. But the purpose can just be to practice the art of being in this space. Being in the space of flow, being in the space of surrender, being in the space of discipline. All right, let's walk our feet forward, come into Uttanasana,
Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. We're going to come into chair pose. If you'd like to have a block between your knees for chair pose, by all means, stick a block between your thighs if you want. Find your breath, settle yourself down into the pose. Palms can be anywhere you want them to be. They can be at your heart, they can be, arms can be out, arms can be up. Anything that feels really nice in your body. Settle yourself. Drop your weight into the heels. Feel the arches lift a little bit. Can you feel the stability of the pose and the flow? Is there a yielding to the earth to be had? Can your breath stay steady? Can your exhales be long? Can your inhales be deep despite the work that's coming in the muscles? So even feel that the strength that you're accessing to stay in a posture like this is coming from blood flow coming into your muscles. So let's enjoy all the energy through oxygen and the energy through blood. This is very fluid. It's, even though we feel hardened by our efforts, we're actually very fluid. So feel the breath, feel the yielding. And then when you're ready, stand on up. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift. Relax back down. Step back to a plank. Shoulders are over your wrists. Stabilize through your core. Find that sense of deep connection to the inner center line of the body, and at the same time able to extend away. Crown, tail, yielding into the floor with your hands and feet. Stay in the flow of your breath. As much as you can, stay in the flow of your breath. And we're going to come down. You can always place your knees down or your elbows down first, so find the right way for you to be. Take a breath. Inhale, come up to cobra. Exhale and come down again. Let's make sure we're stable. So stabilize through your core, through your glutes, your legs. Come on up again. Notice how much more room you have when you're stable. And relax. Come back up onto all fours. Have a moment to swirls or swivels or child's pose or anything that you need. And then when we're ready, we're going to bring our right foot forward, left knee on the ground. Extend through your heart. Find your breath. And we're going to come, this is a pretty big pose, come into half Hanumasana. You can always grab onto things. You can always put blocks next to you or on the ground, however you want to be. Notice if you tend to lean your hip out and your body that way. See if you can align as best as you can right in front. It's balance. There's balance to be had. Hand on your hip. Inhale, reach the arm up. Let's begin to turn and take two arms out to the sides. And then as you're ready, take your left hand and put it on the block. Hopefully you have a block there. Drop the shoulders. Spread out through your wings. See what it feels like to sink the hip down. Try not to let it hop up and out. Instead, drop your hip down and in. Hug the two femur bone heads toward each other. Use your core, use your breath. Stretch out through the big toe. The inner heel, lift the arches up toward the pelvis. So this is a discipline, working with the alignment of the body, but not at the expense of the breath. And then go ahead and come back down, come into a lunge. Back knee is on the floor. Feel free to have your blocks in front of you. You'll probably need them. Lift the back foot up and walk the back foot forward. Come into Parsvottanasana legs. Inhale and climb on up. Interlace your fingers the opposite way from we had earlier. Open the chest. Find your breathing here. And then come however down your body says to go. So you can come far and let your head rest down. You can come just a little bit and just see where it is your body wants to be in space. The hips stay square. The feet are yielding, rooting. Feel the rebound. Lift from the arches up to the groins. Find your breath. Inner spiral your thighs. Let the sit bones widen. Okay. And then go ahead and lift to come on out. Back foot comes forward. Inhale, open yourself up. Exhale and fold in half. Halfway lift, spine gets longer. Exhale, let's step our opposite foot back. So our left foot is forward, our right foot is back, coming into a lunge. Find your breath, put your knee down onto the ground. Open up your chest. Sink back into half Hanumasana.
Maybe you're using blocks. Square the hips, drop that hip down, lift the chest up. Stretch through the big toe and the inner heel. Have a little inner spiral of both legs. Not so much that you're trying to hike that hip out. The hip is staying down. Find your breath, and when you're ready, we're going to come on up. First, it's a lot of balance, so if you need to hold on to something, hold on to something. First, just come up and just check and see, how's my balance today? Drop the shoulders away from the ears, and then when you're ready, bring your hand down onto the block or blocks so you can stack one on top of the other and find your way into this very big twist. Find your breath. See if you can keep this hip down and in. Inner spiral the legs, press through the bones of your foot and reach the arches back to the hip. The spine is growing. Stay in the breath. Is there a place in your body you can relax? Okay. All right, and then let's go ahead and release to come out of there. Take your blocks on either side. We're going to come up into Parsvottanasana legs, so a little shorter stance in your lunge. Feel free to take the left foot out to the left more. Come on up. Interlace the hands whatever way you want them to be. Open the chest, find your breath, and come on forward. Heads of the arm bones, stay back. Your belly is strong, so we're trying to stay supported, wrapping around your spine. Your legs are working hard for this. Your glutes on that front leg and your hamstring, even though they're stretching, they're flexing. Extend the spine, decide how far you want to be in this posture. Feel the instability. It's a little bit of an unstable pose. Can you flow despite the instability? Is there grace that you can find? Relax something, yield something, breathe something. All right, come on up and out of the pose. Reach your arms to the sky and then lay your hands back down onto the ground. Come back to dog pose. Extend through your spine here. Sit bones high and wide. Full breaths in, full breaths away. Okay, walk 2 feet forward. Fold a little bit, let your knees bend, relax. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Stick a block between your thighs if you like that for chair pose. Don't if you don't. You can have your feet together, whichever works for you. Come into a chair. We're going to twist in our chair here. So as you find your way, you can put your arms wherever you want them to be. You can do twisting regardless of what your hands are doing. Settle yourself down. The femur bones draw back into the hips. The weight is in the heels. Find the arches lift toward the pelvis. Feel the roots of your feet drop down. So especially your heels might feel sinky in this pose. Let them yield. Where are you bound that you can unbind? Where are you holding on to the edge of the banks of the river instead of letting yourself flow through? Can the discipline be to flow instead of to hold on? How do you have stability where you need it and spaciousness where you can find it? Let's twist here. Twisting to the left or the right, whichever way you want. Inhale, come on up. Going the other way. Flow with your breath. Inhale, come on up. Arms do not have to do the moving. Exhale on the way over. Knees stay in line. Inhale, come back. One more time this side. Inhale, come on up, straighten the legs, float forward, melt in half. Inhale for a halfway lift, exhale and release. Step your left foot back, right foot is coming forward. Come into a full lunge now, crescent lunge. Reach your arms up, find your way. We're going to take any twist that you want. So you can twist out to the side, you can put your hand on a block, you can bring your elbow. So find your favorite way to be. Okay, there's so many choices. Do what feels best in your body. How are you able to breathe? Can you feel the earth? Are you able to be stable and yielding no matter what you're choosing? Is your breath able to flow? Are you stable through your pelvis and your spine? Can you feel your feet? And then come back out. Reaching the arms to the sky, place the hands down onto the ground, step back, plank pose. Find yourself. Your feet can be together or apart, whichever feels best to you. Find the midline, find the flowing breath. Deep inhale, let your exhales go. Feel yourself come into the flow. Put your knees down and lower yourself to the floor. Take your legs wide apart. Just lift your legs up. Keep your head resting on your hands. Find your breath. Engage through your outer hips. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Relax. Bring your knees back to midline. Go ahead, or to hip line, and then go ahead and crisscross. Windshield wiper your knees left and right. Find the back body breath while you're here. Enjoy the prone position of the body. And then let's go ahead and come back up. Coming onto all fours, we're going to do the same thing with the second side. So let's bring our left foot forward. Our right foot's coming back. Come into the extension of your spine. When you're ready, rise up, crescent lunge. So take any variation of the twist that's right for your body. Hands do not have to join in, or arms do not have to join in if your shoulder is not okay with all this. So you can twist here, you can twist here, here, you can bring your elbow, palms together. There's so many choices. So find what you're finding, hug to the midline, lift that back thigh, extend the spine, relax the shoulders, feel your yielding feet. Give yourself over, feel the flow. All right, and then as you're ready, take your time, come out of the posture, place the hands down onto the ground, back foot comes forward. Fold in half here. Let yourself melt, relax your head, finding your breath. Inhale for a halfway lift again. Exhale and melt back down. All right, let's come back down onto our knees. Bring the left foot forward, finding your breath. Stretch your heart. Find your way into this twist again. Drop the hip down, open the chest. Now see what it would feel like to come off of your blocks and find your way. This is hard balance. I think this is hard balance. So don't worry if you have to keep tapping. Find your breath, lift your spine. Breathing in, breathing out. Okay, place that hand back down onto the ground. Just feel the drop of the hip, the hugging in toward the midline. And then release and bring that left foot forward into a lunge. Open the heart. Come back onto all fours. Okay, let's find a little cat-cow here. Find your breath. Okay, and then we're going to come to this other side. Come right into the twisting. Okay, so find your breath. Feel yourself open up. Maybe you have better balance or worse balance on one side versus the other. When you are trapped up with trying not to fall down, what happens to the breath? See if you can let go of the attachment of balance and instead come into the flow of what you're feeling. And then relax and come on out of there. Come into this lunge on your right foot. Lift your back knee up off the ground and come into Parsvottanasana legs. Square the hips, lengthen the spine, find your breath. We're going to hop forward into standing split. So take weight into your foot. Inhale, lift that leg straight up in the air. Square hips, extend the spine, stretch through to your foot. Find the flow. We're going to do some Jiva squats if your body's ready for that. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and tuck in. Inhale and lengthen back. And you can keep your hands on the blocks the whole time. You can experiment with taking your hands off the blocks. Okay. One more time. Find your way. Exhale. Tuck in. Stay in your little tuck. Hands toward each other or on blocks. Feel your feet. Yield. Breathe. And place the hands onto the blocks again. Straighten that leg.
Virabhadrasana, 3 legs, so half splits, we're really engaged, the spine is long. Exhale and place your foot down next to your other foot. Halfway lift, feel the weight shift into 2 feet, kind of dissipating the energy. Step your right foot back, your left foot is coming forward. Find your breath, find the inhale, find the exhale. We're going to find our way. You can start with your hands on your hips or however you want to start. We're going to come into the lunge and then hop up onto our foot. Half splits on the side, extending the spine. Stay square on the pelvis as best as you can. Stay in the flow. Feel your yielding foot. Feel your yielding hands. Feel the flow of the breath. Is the spine growing? When you're ready, you can start to do some of the jiva squats if you want. Tucking your knee behind the knee, curling in. Maybe your hands stay on the blocks as you expand on your in-breath and tuck on your out-breath. Maybe you want to experiment with taking the hands off the blocks and finding your way with no hands, okay? So just move in the way that feels best to you. Next time you come into a jiva squat, play here for a moment, yield, breathe, surrender what you can. Stay disciplined and surrender. Hands come onto the box, extend that leg straight, find your breath. Okay, and then take a big giant step back, hands on the ground, dog pose. Full breaths in, full breaths away. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Deep inhales, steady exhales. Can you yield? Close your eyes. Are you in the flow? Put your knees down onto the ground. If you need to, come down. Any back bend that makes you feel good. Flow in the breath. Windshield wiper your knees. Turn your head to one side or the other. And then take a moment, turn your head the other way. Just have your arms down at your sides. Feel your body prone. Breathe into the back of you. Melt the front of you. Okay, come back up. Anything you want, cat-cow, child's pose. Find your way. Okay, let your back be nourished. Curl the toes under when you're ready, no rush. Have a moment of yielding. Relax the head, rest the brain in the skull, rest the eyes, the jaw. Feel yourself moving in the flow of your breath, yielding into the earth. And then as you're ready, inhale to lift that leg in the air, right leg in the air. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, bring it all the way forward. Come into a lunge. Shorten up the stance. Make sure you have a block handy. Come on up to stand. Take your front foot out to the side as much as you need to for balance. Extend the spine, reach the arm in the air. Find your breath, revolve to triangle pose. Bring the hand onto 1 or 2 blocks, however you need to be. Start to find the posture. Reach the hip back, root the feet, yield the feet. Feel the arches lift to the hips. Feel the spine grow. The femur bones hug toward the midline. The inner thighs roll back. Keep breathing your way into a long spine. Maybe the arm comes up, maybe your head turns, maybe it does not. Notice if your chest collapses. Can you spread the collarbones and drop the shoulder blades? Stay rooted and yielding in the feet. And then release, relax, bring that hand back down onto the ground. 3-legged dog pose again, lifting that right leg. Place it down onto the ground. Lift the left leg. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, bring it forward. Find your lunge. Climb up, walk the back foot forward until your stance is short enough for your legs to be straight. Inhale, lift the right arm up in the air, extend it forward, blocks are nice. So put your hand on. Inner spiral of the thighs. Hug the femur bone heads toward the midline. Extend the spine. Feel the yielding feet. Return that energy through the body. Discover your breath over and over. Let your core stabilize your spine. Let your core twist you on your exhales. Maybe the arm comes up, maybe it stays on your hip. Maybe your head turns, maybe it doesn't. Stay in your breathing. How are the sensations of the body? Are you in the flow? And then release and bring that hand back down onto the ground. Step back to three-legged dog. That leg lifts high. Place your foot down onto the ground. Walk your feet forward. Come into a squat. Feet are wide on the mat, elbows inside. Open the chest. Extend the heart. Root into the feet. Yield and rebound. Yield and rebound. Stay in the breath. Despite the effort, are you in the ease? Can you have the discipline balanced by the offering, the grace, the breath? Okay. Inhale, stand up straight and tall. Heel toe your feet closer in and fold in half. Melt, relax the head, wobble around. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release down. Come down onto the ground. Find your way after doing some twisting poses. We want to make sure we nourish our sacrum. So find your way into bridge pose. Heels are down, hips come high. Block in between your thighs if you feel inclined. Find your breath. Find the chest opening. Feel the equal effort in all your leg muscles. So find the inner thighs, find the outer hips, find the hamstrings, find the quads. Find your breath. Most important thing you can find the breath. Are you even weighted with your feet? Or is your belly able to rise and fall, your chest able to rise and fall? Do you feel a hug across the backside of your pelvis? And then slowly lower your legs down. Come back to a neutral place, just a neutral spine. Turn your head from left to right. All right, one more time for a bridge. You get to decide whether you want to do this one actively or passively. If you're going to do it passively, you can put a block or blocks underneath your pelvis so that you have some support and it's less work. What I like about doing a second one passively is when my legs don't have to be so involved in my consciousness, I bring a lot more attention to my belly. And it feels good to breathe into the pelvis and into the belly. So if you like that, then take a supported variation. If you're really enjoying the feeling of strength around your pelvis to stabilize you, then do an active posture. And heck, maybe you can do both. Maybe when you're up in an active posture, you can put just a little bit more of your attention toward the breath. Can you feel the full exhale? Drop the belly. Let's go ahead and come on out of the posture. Pelvis back down onto the floor. Feel the neutral spine for a breath. And we're just going to spend one more time turning the head from left to right. Just releasing any tension through the neck. Okay, you get to decide for this next pose whether you stay here on your back and you come into a reverse pigeon pose or thigh over thigh hip stretch. Or if you come up to pigeon pose. If you're in pigeon pose, take whatever props you need to support yourself. So you can have blankets, you can have blocks, you can have whatever it is that you need. Find your way either on your back or on your front. When you meet edges of tension in your body, how can you bring yourself into yielding and breath? Practice the art of yielding and breath over and over and over and over. And if we get good at it when we're doing our yoga practice, then it's there for us. And we have the ability to connect with the earth, to feel that sense of yielding. We have the ability to slow down and breathe. We stretch out some time for us to pay attention, have that self-study, to decide where our discipline needs to be, and to give us the grace of offering ourselves up to something higher. If we just go, and don't ever pay attention, we need to look inward. This is where the Kriya Yoga, the yoga of action, includes self-study. It includes offering your efforts, your actions to something higher than yourself. It includes deep discipline of staying on task, right? So all three of these things are necessary. So let them all be very simply in your asana practice, so you cultivate the skillful means you need. Deep breaths here. Melt yourself on the exhale. Surrender. Have the discipline to stay present with your breath, to stay at the edge of your body range of motion, and not go past and not shrink away. It takes a lot of discipline to stay in the breath sometimes. Some people are naturally good breathers, naturally good at it, but most of us have to spend a lifetime practicing in order to have quality presence in our breath. Let's find our way out of this pose. Come to the other side. Maybe your other side is a different pose, like being in pigeon pose instead of on your back, or being on your back instead of in pigeon pose. Decide which way you want to be. Find the structure of the posture, the alignment. Find your boundaries. When you find all that, the discipline of putting yourself here, then bring your discipline to watching the steady breath. Staying with the steady breath instead of shrinking away, instead of plowing over. What can you do to allow yourself to be marinating in this position and in your breath? Is there yielding to be had? Maybe it's simply yielding your forehead into a block. Maybe it's yielding your diaphragm. All right, when you're ready to come out, find your way. Decide what kind of pose comes next if you need to nourish something. Okay. I'm going to suggest that we come down onto our back. Okay. Find your breath, bring your knees to your chest, rock a little bit. Just finding the ease of breath. Now, if you happen to have 2 blocks or 2 blankets, we're going to do just a moment of a restorative posture. So if you happen to have 2 blankets, you can take park bench with blankets, where you have one underneath your head. I like to tri-fold them instead of single fold the hot dog stance. Okay, so, and then one in between the shoulder blades and the other underneath the head. Sometimes I like the head one lower. You just have to decide Heart bench is putting a block in between your shoulder blades and one underneath your head. So you can choose one or one of the other. The blankets is more gentle. With the blocks, one block under your head, one block in between your shoulder blades, under your spine. Okay, and you bring it to the position that's most comfortable for your back. And we come into rest. Now, if your shoulders don't like this position, you can, if you're on blocks, you can take a blanket and stick it underneath one, that's not a good fold, but you know what I mean, sticking it underneath one forearm and the other so that your shoulders are a little elevated instead of dropping so low. There's lots of choices, so make yourself comfortable. However you're choosing to be in this pose, can you feel the open heart? Can you feel the sense that your breath is still this discipline that you're staying with? That the surrender is in the breath. The body follows the breath. So when you exhale, can you let the body respond? Let the openness of your torso imprint in you. And then eventually find your way out of the pose and come onto your back. You get to decide on how you want to be for Shavasana, but first, before we do that, just rock a little bit. Maybe take your feet, rock in happy baby pose, or just be still. Maybe you want to do a simple twist to each side. So there's choices here to nourish your spine after a little teeny back bend. Taking your time. And then also remember for Shavasana, when you get there, you can be flat on the ground, but you can also have your legs up on something. So see what feels good for you. Finding the breath. And as you come to settle into Shavasana, rest the limbs. This is the most important posture for cultivating this art of surrender. What are you giving yourself over to? Do you believe in a higher power? Do you believe in just cultivating your highest self for others, for being the best you can be in the world for others? Is there art? Is there music? Is there nature? What is there that you surrender to? How about love? So just identify. It doesn't have to be a divinity. It can be anything that feels greater than yourself, that makes you feel connected. See if you can settle into that feeling of connection, that feeling of flow. Ishvara Pranidana, to offer our disciplined efforts over to something greater than ourselves. So feel your body drop into that. And just let your breath be.
into, let your breath find its steady pace again. Deep inhale, surrender through the exhale. Let's find our way into a bit of movement, stretching through your toes, wiggling, rolling your ankles around, moving your hands, whatever feels nice. Maybe you enjoy a big stretch, arms lifting overhead. Maybe you prefer something quieter. Let's eventually come on to your side. Let's go ahead and use your arms to help yourself upright. Take your time. And as you come to a seat, place your palms at your heart. Just take a moment to center yourself. Feel that grounding force again. Feel the yielding through your whole body. Come into the flow of your breath. Offer yourself to something greater than yourself. Even just in this final prayer that we often do at the end of class, offer your energy outward. Share with another person that needs your love and care. Share with the world in its entirety. Whatever you're sending your energy to, connect to something bigger than you. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. So good to see you.